No matter what you do in life, there'll always be somebody to tell you that it wasn't enough. You'll find plenty of them here on YouTube, telling you that you didn't work hard enough on your career, you didn't earn enough money, you weren't hard enough on people, you didn't save enough money for retirement, you didn't enjoy life enough. And at some point you do start to wonder, can this game called enough ever be won? Let's get into how to know when enough is enough. When you're young, the target seems simple. Get a job, work hard, lick a few arses, build a career, get promoted, earn more money, spend it on yourself, on a nice car. And for me, that was a white 1977 Ford Capri. I loved that car. Then the target moves. Get married, sell the car, buy a house, chase more responsibility, earn even more money, spend it on nice holidays. And then the target moves again. Have a family, provide for your family, chase even more responsibility, even more money, buy a bigger house, be a responsible adult. And then the target moves again. Earn more. Now you've got to save for your retirement. You've got to provide more just in case. Be more successful. That target just keeps moving. And by the time you reach 50, or in my case 44, you realise something. You reach one target and another one suddenly appears. It's like running towards the horizon or searching for a pot of gold at the base of a rainbow. You never arrive. One day you start to realise people remember what was missing. They remember what they don't get from you more than what they did get from you. You can give 95% and the conversation always comes round to the missing 5%. It doesn't matter you worked hard to provide. They wish you'd been home more. You spent more time at home. Well, they wish you'd been more ambitious. You saved carefully for the future. Well, they think you should have spent more. You spent freely. They think you should have saved more. You should have done this, you should have done that. Who exactly are they? Well, that's up to you. In my case, it was my mother. In your case, it might be your wife or your husband, maybe your boyfriend or your girlfriend, your business partner, your boss. Maybe it's your mum too, or even your dad, or your mother-in-law, your father-in-law. Whoever it is, they are judging you. And that's when you realise there may not be a perfect score if you do hit that target. One of the biggest traps in life is judging yesterday when you're armed with today's knowledge. Do you do it? Look back at your decisions, go over your mistakes, revisit the choices that you've made in the past, and then have regrets? And you think, well, if only I could have my time again. I know I've got to stop myself doing this, and I've got to focus on living in the moment every day. When I left my business at 44, I thought I had the answers. How could I possibly? I was only 44. Over 20 years later, I can see all sorts of things that I would do differently, the poor decisions that I made, the priorities that I mismanaged, and the wasted opportunities, and just downright bloody awful mistakes. But that's easy to say with hindsight. The man sitting there back in 2005 didn't have the benefit of 20 years experience that was to come. He was making the best decisions he could do with the information he had at the time. And that's a very important distinction, and it's one that it's easy to forget when you're beating yourself up. There is a question that changes everything. Did I genuinely do my best? A few years ago, before I launched this YouTube channel, yet another one of my projects hadn't worked out. My 50s were a bit of a nightmare in that respect. I used to start something, struggle, and then quit. The project before this channel, I stopped asking what went wrong, and I started asking, did I genuinely do my best with all that knowledge and experience and under the circumstances I had at the time? And I think that's a much fairer question. And my answer to that question was yes, I did give it my best, but I didn't get the outcome I was hoping for. It just wasn't meant to be. That failed project contained some valuable lessons, and those lessons have been key to the success of this channel. Now I only allow myself a glance in that rear view mirror to look for lessons learned, not to regret. Outcomes are not fully under your control. This is something that took me a while to fully accept. You can be a good husband and still experience relationship difficulties. You can be a good father and still make mistakes. You can work incredibly hard and things can still go incredibly wrong. And also timing plays a big part in the outcome too. And so does luck. You need a bit of that for sure. And your circumstances at the time matter. Who could have predicted COVID? But what you can control is whether you show up or not regardless of the circumstances. Whether you care enough to put in the effort and really give it your best shot, or just go at it half-arsed. That part does belong to you. For that, you are 100% accountable. When I launched this YouTube channel, I made a commitment to myself to turn up, give it my all, publish 2 videos every week for the first 2 months, and then publish once a week for a year after that. And that was a commitment come rain or shine. I did miss the odd week through illness, but never through laziness. It didn't stop me. I still published 60 videos in that first year. That was on me. One of the things about getting older is that you start seeing life for the game it really is. You realise that if you spend your entire life trying to satisfy everyone's expectations of you, you'll find it tough to prosper in the game because their expectations keep changing. So eventually you have a simple decision to make. Whose rules are you going to live by? Other people's or your own? Now that's not being selfish, it's protecting your sanity. The older I get, the less interested I am in whether I meet everyone else's expectations. And the more interested I am in whether I lived with integrity and showed up, tried and cared, whether I gave the best I had to give. Because there will always be someone like my mother who thinks you haven't done enough. When is it enough? I keep coming back to this question. Let's take retirement as an example. A lot of people work longer than they need to because they're topping up their pension pot. What is that extra year of work truly worth if you're over 60? An extra £20,000? £50,000? £100,000 maybe? And what about the cost you can't measure? The opportunity cost. Another year not tackling that bucket list. And what if you're working to maintain your current lifestyle, putting in more overtime, making sacrifices, with more stress and more responsibility just swallowing up more of your life? And if you're in your 60s, is it worth another healthy year gone so you can feel more secure at 85? Really? How much more do you really need? And will you be well enough and motivated enough to do things at 85 that you can do at 65? I think about this a lot, particularly now I'm 65. How much of what you trade time for is actually worth it? How many extra years are you working for things you don't really need or may never benefit from in the future? How many things are you willing to miss out on for them? How many missed holidays, missed weekends, missed family moments, missed opportunities, all in pursuit of just a little more? More money, more security, more success, more status. And yet, when I talk to people in their 80s and 90s, they look back on their lives. Very few of them wish they'd spent more time at work. They didn't want to answer more emails on a Sunday or attend more Zoom calls in the evening. What they do wish is that they'd been there a little bit more for their family, more present, more time spent living, more time experiencing life. So I keep coming back to the same question. What is enough, really? If the answer is always just a little more, then maybe you are never going to have enough. And that's the trap. You keep chasing that moving target that nobody ever actually defines. And after a while, you start believing that the problem must be you. But maybe it isn't. Maybe the problem is that you were playing a game you could never win. A game where the rules kept changing, the expectations kept changing, the finish line just kept moving. And if that's true, then the question isn't, did I do enough? The question is, did I give the best I had to give? If the answer to that question is honestly yes, then maybe enough was enough. Let me ask you, have you ever felt like no matter what you did, it was never enough? Let me know in the comments. I'd like to hear your experience on this one. In the meantime, if this video resonated with you, watch this one next. It's about why looking poor is important after 60. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.